it ends in porch talk, and it starts with illness, and it's all about love and the body and kind of like the soul, you know, like what do you really want in life? What is life about? You know, that's what the questions are explored in this. So I would say, you know, if I was making this plot mountain, the exposition is like talking about Henrietta, and then we get to talking about shells, and because Mister starts to visit Henrietta, and they're both taking care of her, and then the talk of the shells talks about a talk about sex and love, and Shug, and then the talk about frogs is the falling action, and then the resolution is kind of Celie giving her truth and speaking her truth. Um, so the climax, I would say, is happens when Mr. asks her, "So what do you really think about me?" And then Celie tells him the truth. Um, all men are like frogs to her. You know, she doesn't love them. And I think that, you know, that's what I would write about for as the conflict and the climax is it's this moment in which Celie acknowledges that she's always wanted to break away from him, that they weren't ever supposed to be together, that they will never be together, and they'll never have this intimacy that, you know, was kind of demanded by Mister and society at large, that man be with woman, and, you know, a well-off man be with, you know, dominate his quiet, subservient wife. And I think that Celie, you know, in this example of porch talk, is illuminating for him how more complicated life is. You know, she's doing the work of the soul and participating in the soul, you know, by showing, you know, like, there's more to life than just a man being with a woman. There's many, many different ways you can make a living. Your way of life is just one way of life, you know, and we're moving to a new century now, and your way of doing things is kind of the past, and is kind of broken, and she at this moment, she's really built that for herself. And so that's what I would, you know, write about for the resolution and how she's changed. All right, so for your classwork for today, I want you to also make a plot mountain out of a letter. So you'll pick a letter from pages 200 to 288, so from page 200 till the end of the novel, and then you'll make a plot mountain for that letter. You'll describe what the plot is, so where in the story are we, what happens in like the letter before, or maybe what happens in the letter after. You talk about the setting, so here we talked about like the point in Mister's house, and you can talk about why that's important. The exposition, so what's the reality, what's happening kind of before the scene, before we go to it, and then the resolution. What does the character learn? What is this scene all about? What is this letter all about? And then I'm going to ask you a series of questions that you'll have to answer. What is the rising and falling text action makes up the climax? And how is this character changed at the end of the scene? So I could write about Mister, I could write about Celie in this, and I would talk about, you know, how they're changed after this porch talk in which Celie spills her truth. And I think what's really interesting is that is that love and illness are kind of opposites of each other in the novel. Walker gives her from the government that Mr. hands her, the only letter that he hands her, that Nettie has died. And of course, we know that's not true, but it's like, it makes me think about how Celie is like truth and Shug is love, one kind of love, and they start blending together. And that's kind of where I see a civil rights truth and emancipating yourself. Like Celie's life, like the 19th century, the 20th century are really about, building, about beauty, and how Celie, we see her always trying to make that for herself and others, that beautiful, that she shares her beauty, and she gives her love, but she's also ultimately always fighting for her own truth, her own reality, and most of the novel is about her expanding that pursuit. All right, I think that breaks it down. I hope this wasn't too complicated. I look forward to seeing what you post. So you'll write your own Plot Mountain. I'll ask you to take a picture of it, however you want to make it look, whatever letter you choose, and you'll post it to Canvas, and under the discussion board, it'll be paper 2 Plot Mountain, and then you'll just write a little bit about what letter you chose and what happens in it. All right, looking forward to see what you write. Everyone have a good day.